my kind of career. I failed year 12 and spent like 3 years just like mucking around.
You failed year 12?
Yeah.
You did?
I did, yeah. I was very lost. I was kind of worked like 12 jobs, getting fired every 6 months, just, trying to party all the time. And I was just playing too many computer games, just not really focusing on anything, But then all my mates started graduating from their degrees, and I'm like, oh crap, I should probably do something. I was back in those days. I was actually playing a bunch of Minecraft with mates in high school, and I taught myself how to set up the server so we can all play together. And that was my first kind of introduction of I think I know how computers work. I kind of had a bit of an understanding of computers from getting that Minecraft server up and running. And then, maybe a year or two into that, I wanted to make a mod for the game. And because I found out, my mate's little brother was making a mod, and I was like, I'm the Minecraft guy. I want to make a mod too. And it was, there's a bit more to the story, but essentially, I had a bit of a stint thinking I was going to be an electrician for a while, and then I was going down that pathway. But when I was kind of working on jobs, I would, in the game of Minecraft, I would wire up things. So there's this thing called redstone in Minecraft where you can make kind of electronic machines and stuff. And I started teaching myself how to do electrical circuits and stuff in the game of Minecraft. And then and I really loved that. So I actually went to university, and I was like, I want to be an electrical engineer. I want to wire up things as a job, because I thought that was really, really cool. And I figured out I'm pretty good at the wiring up stuff. But then, when I wanted to make a mod for Minecraft, basically I wanted to learn how to change the game in some way. And I'm like, all right, what do I do? And then essentially I looked it up, and it said, you have to learn how to program. And I had never programmed before, so I'm like, fuck it, let's go and learn how to program. So within 2 days, I'd done 80 tutorials on YouTube,
Jesus
and I was
Christ.
just I found myself just obsessed with it. And
so you were self-teaching?
Yeah, well, initially, because I wanted to make a mod, and I didn't think about going to uni for that. I'm like, I'll just teach myself how to do it. Fuck it, I'll figure it out. And I basically when I started doing that, I realized the thing that I loved about the circuitry wiring up in the game of Minecraft was not the fact that there were wires. It was the fact that I had to walk away and try and solve the problem in my head. And I realized that's all programming was. It was, there's no wires you're connecting. It's just you trying to solve the problem in your head about how do you make it do what you want it to do. And then I'm like, all right, screw that. So I went back to uni, because I was in the middle of enrolling in an electrical engineering, degree, because I thought I wanted to do, wiring up. But I realized, no, it's actually programming. So I went to uni, and I'm like, all right, how do I do programming instead? And they said, well, everything you're doing right now, because I had to go back and redo year 12 maths and redo year 12 physics, and I had this whole plan that I was in the middle of doing. And they say, if you want to do software engineering instead, you can. You don't have to change anything, right? You just when it comes to selecting which degree, you select software engineering. And that was the beginning of how I went from failing year 12 to slowly over 3 years getting back my life and trying to start my career in that way.
So and all of this stemmed from Minecraft essentially.
Yeah, well, I played a lot of computer games as a kid.
What was your were you a MMORPG kind of guy, or?
I mixed it up. I played a lot of Halo back in
Halo.
Yeah, Halo 3 when I was in year 10. I guess my sister and my mum and my sister's boyfriend had a lot of fights with me because I wouldn't get off off Halo when I was in high school. Dude. I was a rat bag, man, as a teenager.
You're roughly about how old are you?
31.
You're 31. So when we were growing up, because I'm 20, I'm 30 this year.
Okay, yeah.
I remember when we were growing up, video games. Maybe in when did the PS2 come out? That was the game changer. The Xbox and the PS2. Maybe year 5 or year 6 or 4, around there. Somewhere around there.
Yeah, around those times.
And games started getting good, and then you could start playing LAN games with people, and the Gears of War came out, and then fucking Call of Duty, Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah, Call of Duty COD 4.
COD 4
that was
came
the classic,
out.
yeah.
And it was just so much. It was like TikTok to kids. It was it felt so real and like so fun.
Very addictive.
Like 10 hours a day.
Very, very addictive.
Like 10,
I was
12 hours a
obsessed.
day.
I would stay up all night, every night.
But who knew that these things are now avenues to major sources of income?
I know.
Like Twitch streaming.
I know. It's crazy. Like you can be a millionaire, without doing any tertiary study. You can just play games and make money.
And those people though, they're just like they're the exception when they're earning like tens of millions a year. There's people that are earning comfortably like 100,000 a year that you don't even know, that just have a weird niche. Like Minecraft's massive now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
But yeah, we went off on a test. So you've done that, and then
so where was I? I was saying that. Remind me where I was at. I was going into university. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just starting uni.
Just started uni. Yeah. So I felt like quite a bit of a failure. I failed year 12, and all my mates had already kind of graduated. Yeah. It was 3 years past being 18, and so that's when like this fire burned to me. Like, oh crap, I need to catch up.
Yeah.
And that fire hasn't been put out, and I still feel like, oh shit, I need to catch up. And it's just like this fire that's just like, it's been under my bum, and it's been like 8 years now, and I'm still just going, really, really hard at it. So what happened was I went in and I was like, all right, cool. Actually I was a bit frustrated that like I had never learnt programming in high school, because back in those days there was no programming. These days,
do they teach programming now?
It's getting more and more into it. So there's like people are creating programming languages that kids can learn, and like it's being integrated more into child development, which I think is really important.
Coding would be such a fucking good topic to teach high school kids.
Yeah, I definitely see it being like on par with maths. Like I think it's so, because everything has a computer in it. I think as a human race, we all need to know how to like control the computers, and I think it's going to be seen just as important as like maths in the future.
Well, it's definitely it's going to be one of the main job sources or it already is becoming that. Even just more computer studies, like how to edit a fucking video and things like that. So many kids that aren't even 18 now are earning, like 16-year-olds are earning thousands of dollars a week just sitting at home and getting jobs on Fiverr, just making clips.
Yeah.
It's a totally different world now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one is the analogy that I tell people quite a lot is if you imagine every career that ever exists on the planet right now. So you got lawyers, you got chefs, you got bankers. Every profession you can ever think of. And you imagine them being like on this kind of line here, where there's a lawyer here, there's a banker here, and on that line there is a programmer, right? It's only one of those jobs there is a programmer. However, every single one of those industries all need computers that have been programmed. Mm-hmm. So you choosing to be a programmer,
you're at the source.
You're at the source, but essentially you're actually kind of choosing all careers. So, for example, if you got a mate of yours who's a lawyer, right, and you want to make and you want to change the courts, right, and he makes a startup with you because you're the programmer. Now you kind of learn everything about the law because you will start making this law app, right? Or your mate's a civil engineer and he wants to change, make a new product, and you can work with him, and now you can be a civil engineer because you learn everything about their industry while you make the software that helps them, right? So you choosing programming, same thing. A mate of mine, I've got some friends in the past who, oopsie, is that right?
We're all good. Lucky. All good.
All good. Yeah, I've got some friends in the past who, got jobs being software / systems engineers for the submarines being built, right? So you kind of become a submarine engineer, right?
No shit.
So just choosing programming means that you can kind of do all careers.
Yeah, it just depends who you're working with or what you're working for at the time.
Which is another reason why I think it's all high school kids and primary school kids are everywhere. It's going to be the mandatory thing eventually, that programming is required because everything needs it.
So you went to uni, and what did you major in uni?
So I started just pure software engineer. There was no majors in Adelaide Uni back at the time.
Oh, right.
They've changed things now, but it was just pure software engineering at the time. So yeah, I was kind of frustrated that I didn't learn back in school. So my first, like, I mentioned there was that fire burning under me, and I'm like, I gotta catch up. But I also, there's something I didn't mention as well. So another game that I used to play, and this was, I think, one of the most important games for me that actually turned me into who I am now and what kind of has driven me to do the things I'm doing now, was actually playing the game RuneScape. I'm not sure if you've ever played RuneScape before.
So my missus always pays me off because that's just one word. I have this weird, like, a speech thing where I can't properly say it. I say runescape. I can't fucking say it.
RuneScape.
I don't know why. Rune. I say ruin.
You're like, yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Oh, it just fucks me.
It fucks you.
I never got into it, but when I was in like years 5, 6, and 7, my friends were fucking obsessed with it.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was mad. It's still going now, really hard.
It's still going. Yeah, they've been quite successful with it. They've managed to change the game and grow it enough that they keep people wanting to keep playing. And
it still has a massive player base.
Massive, yeah. So like in this game, this game was actually primarily the reason why I failed year 12, because I actually didn't know, I didn't submit any assignment. I was just playing RuneScape. That's Mum hated me at the time. And
well, she'd be happy now.
Oh, she's stoked that things have turned around.
What
now.
a U-turn.
Yeah. It's like I'm like the miracle son.
No shit.
Things are just like whoop, this changed direction. But in that game, like, because back then it took like 3 months of full-time work to max out one of the skills, right? And there's like 30 skills.
It's a grind.
Yeah, it's like 20 skills. There's a lot of skills, and back in those days, you had to like sit there and click constantly all day, every day. And in the game, they give you this like reward. They give you this like, kind of fancy cape around your character. So, and everyone can see it, right? So you walk down the street in the game of RuneScape, and all these people have seen like, oh my God, you've like maxed out one of the skills, and you just get chains of people following you just because it's so crazy that they're seeing someone with one of these capes. And so basically, like, I think, I saw one of these, I saw someone who had maxed one of these skills out, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And
I just like, I ended up going super serious. So I had like a spreadsheet, and I was like timing myself, and I went like full, worker mode of like figuring out how I was going to do that. And basically, to get one of those capes, it felt impossible, right? And then I guess like applied myself, and I went really, really hard at it, and I ended up managing to get one. And I ended up like, basically like repeating the same thing and getting like 2, 3, 4 capes in this game. And basically, I previously thought that was impossible.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, you had to have no life at all. And like I thought it was something that it was impossible for me to do. And then through hard work, I realized it was possible. So when I went to uni, I was kind of searching for like, what's the skill cape? Like I had this belief in myself, because that belief had been switched on by that game of RuneScape, because I knew I could do it.
You knew you could grind it out.
I knew whatever it was, I could grind it, and I could still get to the end goal. So I was like kind of searching for what is that thing to aim for, the skill cape to aim for.
It's like that with everything though. If you have the ability to like knuckle down and fucking grind anything out, you're gonna be better than most people at it. It's just like a lot of people don't have that kind of determination to like actually grind and like just persevere. And even though it's just a game like RuneScape, it's just a game. The amount of fucking physical hours you have to put in to get that cape would be insane.
Yeah, it really was. And like, I think the big one is like, nothing changes while you're clicking, and there's only one change at the very end when you get the cape. Like, you don't like have a half cape along the way. There's no sign that you're even close until you've got it. And it kind of like, it allowed me to be okay with having nothing for now, knowing that the big juicy thing's going to happen once I keep grinding,